Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi urged Arab nations to support Israel at the UN General Assembly in New York last week. Sisi also had his first public meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. But is this part of a wider trend of Arab states warming up to Israel? Since the start of the Saudi-led anti-Qatar campaign, Arab states and Israel have grown even closer. They have agreed that Al Jazeera supports terrorism, they have agreed that Hamas is a terrorist organization, and are all deeply opposed to Iranian influence in the region. But Israel and the Arab world have a long history of conflict. Wars have occurred in 1948, 1956, 1967, 1973, 1985, 2006, and the list goes on. Israel still occupies Palestinian land and Syria's Golan Heights, not to mention the relentless construction of illegal settlements in the West Bank, the siege of Gaza, and human rights abuses being committed against Palestinians. But that hasn't stopped Arab states from flirting with Tel Aviv. The Bahraini king has recently denounced the Arab boycott of Israel and has allowed Bahraini citizens to travel freely to Israel. WikiLeaks has also exposed the UAE's diplomatic back-channeling with Tel Aviv, after emails of the UAE ambassador to Washington were leaked. Meanwhile, Israeli media has reported allegations of a secret meeting between Israel and a member of the Saudi royal family. Netanyahu has reaffirmed this shift in foreign policy by stating that his country is now working closely with Arab states to fight Iran. So will these Arab states ignore the plight of the Palestinians and continue normalizing relations with Israel?